With pandemic and lockdowns in the Philippines, especially around the NCR area, the healthcare sector is in the center of it all. So today, we've invited Ms. Liz Dantes with us, the president of the Los Santos Medical Center, to know a little bit more about the state of the healthcare sector and how the architectural and design industry can help them. So first off, thank you for joining us today, Ms. Liz.
You're
And
welcome.
I hope you've been having a good day today. Yeah, so before I start asking you the questions, I'd like to ask you to introduce yourself a little bit to me and to our viewers as well.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for this invitation. So, I have been in the healthcare industry for almost like 11 years.
Wow.
Been with Cardinal Santos Medical Center for 8 years as the senior vice president for finance. I was the chief finance officer.
Mhm.
In 2018, I moved to Manila Doctors Hospital
Hmm.
for 2 years as the president. Okay, and my last stint is now with the Los Santos Medical Center. I joined Santos in September 2020. I'm sorry, 2020. So this
Wow.
is like 7 months into the job.
Yeah. Last
So
year only. Yeah.
yeah, just last year. Yeah.
Yeah. What inspired you to get involved in the healthcare sector?
I think it's by sheer accident. I wasn't really looking at the healthcare space when I changed job. I used to be with property development,
Oh, wow.
investments, and retail. Okay, I was with Shumart for almost 8 years. Okay, so totally different. So I was invited by Metro Pacific to look into Cardinal Santos.
Mhm.
At the time, maybe my heart and soul wasn't into it, but I was just looking for something that was very close to my residence. Anything within 4 kilometers within my residence would be fine. So regardless what it was. So at the time, I think Cardinal Santos newly acquired by Metro Pacific, was looking for a CFO, okay, to join the group. I think it was just a coincidence that I was looking for something very close to my house, something that didn't have any Saturday work, and so I can have more time with my son, so who was like only about four years at that time. So I think it was coincidence, maybe luck, or maybe it was really fate. It was fate that I would be joining healthcare. So, but since joining Cardinal Santos and the various hospitals, after which gaining 11 years in the industry, I started liking it. I started loving it, but because it's a different gratification.
Mhm.
You are in the healthcare because you are able to help out in some other ways. Okay, so when you see a person well, a patient well, and when patients tell you how grateful they are with your nurses and with the staff, there's instant gratification, which I think you would not normally find in some um, kinds of industries, but because most of these maybe are just commodities, these are retail, and it's a very common good or a very common service. But I think healthcare is more of like I would say it has a profound effect on, like, nurses take care of patients, so don't really do direct caring of patients. I think the fact that you let a person go out in the hospital from the hospital well, standing, running, there's some joy in it. So I think it's where we're coming from. Though our jobs right now are very toxic.
Yeah.
If you are not in the forefront of caring patients, but I think what's happening in the healthcare really now, you feel tired, you feel the fatigue because every day is a new thing. You know how it is, especially these COVID times. But
Yeah.
I think it's part of what we should do, and
Yes.
it's part of what we should deliver.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, so right
as you were saying, yeah, the healthcare sector is really at the center of everything. How is the state of the healthcare sector right now? How has it been going?
We're challenged, no, because it's more difficult to run the operations now,
Mm-hmm.
compared to what we were before. In terms of maybe people get tired. We're tired, having been in lockdown for like almost like maybe 13 months or 14 months.
Yeah.
Very tired. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
you're scared because you don't know when we would be when we are we're directly exposed to the virus, no?
Yes, yes.
Directly exposed to the virus, but more so that we are in the hospital. So these patients come here with COVID, especially like three or 2 weeks ago when that's the height of the surge.
Yes, yes.
It was a very pathetic scene in the hospital, for all hospitals, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Financially challenged. The census and the revenues of the hospital have gone down.
Yeah, because of all of this.
Yeah. Patients are scared to come.
Of
Doctors
course.
are scared to come, especially if they are into OR procedures, endoscopy procedures, because aerosolizing procedures, and so
Mm.
despite this, we're still here.
Yes, of course.
Here to fight it out, and we're here to really serve the community, regardless whether people get exposed. But hopefully, luckily, the infection that we had here in the hospital was not as much compared to other hospitals, where there was one hospital that had about half of the nursing force was down.
Oh, yikes.
So you can just imagine how very limited manpower would care for patients who are infected. So fortunately, ours was not the case, and but still, until right now, we're still struggling.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
We're in 2019, or to be where we were years ago. So, but I hopefully, and we're praying that this COVID would die down. We would all feel that we are safe,
Yes. Yes.
comfortable going back to our normalcy in terms of our work. Yeah.
Yes. So speaking of which, yes. So there are many. The healthcare sector is very challenged now. What do you feel are the most important goals in healthcare facilities right now, especially in the Philippines? And what are the new challenges, like the biggest challenges that have come up because of the pandemic?
Um, we were all caught unaware. We never
Mm.
thought this would happen, no? So we were not prepared. Nobody was prepared for this COVID. But 1 year into COVID, slowly we learned how to adapt,
Mm-hmm.
learn what should be needed in the hospital. But I think we're not yet in that level that we are completely equipped.
Mm.
All the modern technologies, all the modern machines that would make our patients comfortable. Every day is still a work in progress, because maybe the care is different from day to day because of
Mm-hmm.
coming in. Doctors, though they are medically equipped now compared to where we were last year,
Uh-huh.
still have some anxieties because maybe of the new strains or new variants coming in, so it can have a
Yeah.
different kind of care.
Yeah.
For nurses, what kind of protocol? So it's a work in progress.
Mm.
Perfected it. Even the third world countries have not perfected how a patient should be cared. It depends also on one's responses to the disease, because
Mm-hmm.
own comorbidity. So each patient would have the different reactions, maybe a different kind of care. But what really challenged us during this COVID is, what kind of hospital facility do we need to have
Yes. Yes.
in order for us to really do a very perfect or near to perfect kind of patient care?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say there's none. But I think most of us became more conscious that the hospital should be well equipped with maybe HEPA filters. Before, maybe some hospitals were not well equipped with HEPA filters, air conditioning, maybe
Mm.
a lot are centralized. No, we want
Yes.
centralized air conditioning because maybe maintenance is easier, but come to think of it, during COVID, a decentralized air conditioning maybe would have an advantage because that means the air circulating in one room is just circulated in this centralized in this one room rather
Yeah.
than being circulated or centralized in the whole in the whole facility. So now we will have to think what kind of air circulation would
Mm-hmm.
the current situation. Is it centralized, decentralized, HEPA filters? What kind of sterilization
Yeah.
gadgets are needed in the hospital? So we probably never thought of it, but there's HEPA filter.
Yeah,
Some
then it would be okay.
are not even regularly checked, maybe at some point, or there's really regular checking. But I think now we have been more conscious about sterilization processes. Okay,
Yeah.
of rooms, and we are more conscious on following really protocols. If the CDC or our infection control department says 1.5 hours of infection sterilization, 1.5 hours of really doing terminal cleaning, we really follow to that level. Unlike before, maybe pwedeng, sige, pwede na yan, o pwede na ito, but now,
Yeah.
strict protocol, and that made maybe a more disciplined way of doing things in the hospital. So
Yeah.
I think now, there's no conscious effort of hand cleaning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alcohol. Before, maybe we do hand cleaning, but some maybe were not very strict on that. But now, really, each and everyone had been very strict on those particular things. So,
Yeah, that's true.
and then there's, in another sense, maybe the technologies change.
Yes.
We maybe to some extent we abhorred telemedicine. We believed in telemedicine before, or if there were people looking at telemedicine, there were just few people, no, because maybe it was more convenient for them. But now the technology is really being used,
Yes.
and maybe it will be this way for the longest time. I know Filipinos would rather have face-to-face.
Yeah.
They would rather see the doctor. When they see their doctor, normally they feel well. Psychologically, they feel well.
Yeah.
But now, some doctors even refuse to come to the office or to the clinics. They would rather do telemedicine. So I think it hastened the use of technology. And really now technology is the thing that really keeps the hospital going, even the doctors and patients.
Yeah, that's actually very true. I mean, I've had my fair share of like teleconsulting with doctors, with therapists like that. And what you mentioned a while ago was also very interesting about airflow management. We actually spoke last year to an engineer, I think. Yeah, anyway, so we asked him about airflow management, everything, and he was actually mentioning about airflow management within a hospital and everything like that. That's very, very interesting. Yeah, so yes, there are many, many challenges that the healthcare sector is going through right now. But what do you think, like in this time of pandemic, where do you think architects and designers can step in and help you guys out in?
I think well, we always follow hospital zoning when we build the hospital. There's a floor for maybe clinics. There will be a floor for patients. A floor for more critical rooms. Okay, so the zoning is observed, but I think it's more observed now because we would like to make sure that there's proper zoning of what cluster should be placed in a particular area, just for cross-contamination. Okay, hospitals have started having separate ERs for COVID, separate for clean patients, different entrances, and looks like this would really be what it should be moving forward, because we don't know when the pandemic will end. If COVID stops or goes to that level of it's just like an ordinary flu, But I think all hospitals now have already in mind the future proofing of infectious diseases, meaning we already have in our mind now this can be a permanent thing, whether it's COVID or not. We'd like to have an ER that is clean. That's for the clean patients, and we have a separate ER for whatever infectious diseases that we can have in the future.
Ah, I see.
We'll never know when another pandemic would come, and so we'd like to make sure that we're already able to respond to these kinds of situations. So immediately we're ready. So, and maybe allocating some rooms in the hospital for these kinds of diseases. Because when the pandemic came in, that's the only time we did segregation of this floor or this wing would be the COVID wing.
Yes.
For the clean patients. No, I think with what we have right now, hospitals are thinking of really just making sure that a particular wing is dedicated to these kinds of infectious diseases. So I think those are the things that are really that should be part of designing a hospital. In the event that something like this would come in a larger scale, whether large scale or small scale, because as a patient, I'm now conscious of not mixing myself with somebody who's infectious.
Oh yeah, true.
You just have a slight cough or colds, you become paranoid na, maybe it's a sign of COVID. so those things, so I think we all become conscious and worry about who the next patient is or who's the patient seated near us. So we have never thought maybe of the physical distancing in hospitals. Bigger spaces where people can sit. Now maybe with this thing happening, architects can build lobbies that are wider apart, because I don't think you would like to be seated now with somebody very close to you. So we would always observe some inches away. So I with this, hospitals would be needing more spaces. So you would be observing all of these requirements, all of these things that people would be needing. Now you don't want to be coming in to any building where there will be a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely.
Or if these are restaurants, you don't want to get into a restaurant that's pretty crowded. So this would now be the trend. And maybe hospitals would open more open spaces.
Open spaces, yeah.
More windows that you can close, open. Because I think now they say it would be better to be in a space where you have open windows, fresh air flowing. Yeah. So it's on the airflow requirement that designers would like to look into. It might be good to have smart buildings, smart for hospital that can detect virus. I don't know how you would do it, but maybe you have gadgets or instruments that can detect virus at any given time in a space, and there can be an automatic machine that can kill that virus.
Oh, that's interesting.
That can be interesting. Rather than doing the UV light, you cannot do UV lights when patients are around or when you have people. So maybe technology that can kill the virus with the present, even if you have patients inside the room, that would not have effect on them. But at least it's a building that can be very safe.
So in the future, do you feel that of course, hospitals will always be around. So definitely, building hospitals it's still there. It's still going to be there in the future, right?
Yeah, definitely. We will be here for the longest time, for as long as there are patients, for as long as there are people needing help, medication, needing hospitalization. Hospitals will always be part of the lives of the people.
Yes, definitely. What do you feel, aside from this, what do you feel that the healthcare sector would need from the architectural and design industry in the future?
Maybe thinking out of the box. Better imagination of more modern buildings or more machines that you can put in. It may not be expensive, but it's something that would make people safe. That's what I mentioned to you. I mean, more open spaces where people
Yes.
would be waiting for doctors rather than be waiting in small corridors. So I think people would rather be outside.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely get that because I recently did like just a routine checkup kind of thing for the company as well. And being there in the clinic, just sitting down even though you're one seat away from a person and it's like a small area, it's kind of nerve-wracking. Like you don't know like if this person has anything or yeah, so definitely I think open spaces would be very nice.
Yeah, I think open spaces, even within the hospital, and you would feel that there's air coming in and out. I think that's what people would really like now. So, there will be a lot of maybe drastic changes in the design. Maybe what they're saying would be maybe within a hospital you would really need a separate space for infectious diseases, whether these are COVID or not. So in the Philippines, maybe I was also thinking that maybe it's time to come up with maybe another central hospital that the government can build or the private sector can build, where this can be the centrally referring hospital for all infectious diseases. One right now, the RITM.
Oh yes.
But it's not as big. It's a very small hospital, and I think San Lazaro is also one. But I think there might be a need for maybe one private hospital where people would send in infectious diseases for consultations and maybe do a lot of researches.
Yes, that would be
have
good.
a hospital that really concentrates on researches, not unlike maybe Singapore. They have one big hospital and you can see how researches are being done, how many floors. They have a big floor and they have multi-story research centers. Maybe that's something that the government can look into, or maybe
in
the
the future.
to invest into one infectious referral center. So, and
Yeah, so everything's there.
actually that everything else is in this hospital. Laboratories, researches. You have doctors doing all kinds of researches, then genome studies that what we're doing right now. That the is of different diseases, and you can put them all in one center. So I think when you have this kind of center, it would be good for us.
Yeah.
Disease or not.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you, Liz, for all of these very interesting insights. Before we wrap up this interview, is there anything else you'd like to say to our viewers out there?
Well, nothing more. We just have to do our part. You help us, like maybe be more conscious of what we should be doing in order for us to really get through this. Regardless whether we're in MECQ, GCQ, I think there should be a conscious effort for each and everyone to do our part. What we should be doing, let's observe, even if we're vaccinated. I think it would still be a while before everybody gets vaccinated.
Yeah.
And the feeling of being vaccinated, you feel that you're free from everything else. Well, I don't think it is. So whether you're vaccinated or not, let's just do our part with each other.
Yeah.
The discipline of observing all the laws that our government and your doctors are advising us to do.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. So basically, that's it now. Thank you so much again, Liz, for being with us today for this little discussion. And to all of the people who have tuned into this video, thank you for tuning in with us today for our little discussion. And if you have any suggestions for topics that you would like us to cover in the future, do leave us a suggestion in the comments below. Until then, we'll see you next time. Thank you very much, Liz, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you. Bye.